sandpaper will open that up once we get things situated. All right. Okay. Alright, so this inside cut, and again, we're not going to try and cut this from the outside. We're going to, because we have an edge here on the inside, we're going to use that. Okay. Any little bit of cleanup you need to do, you just carve it out. And again, sandpaper works real well on that too. Okay. Bam. And it just fits in there flush. You see here we've got a little cutaway to do. So what I'll do is I'll just straighten this line here. Okay. Little cutting here to do. We've got a little cutting here to do. And now, let's see, we've got a nice merge right there. Okay, so we can glue this balsa right in there once we get it flush. Oops, yeah, that's always the case. You get it right there, and then you slip. Jack it up. Alright, let's start over. But anyway, you get the idea now. That's how we do. That's how we do. if you have to reposition your work, it's always good to do it like this. Leave the blade in so you don't have to relocate the slot you were in and risk splicing a slot. See that? Leave the blade in there whenever you can, rather than pulling it out and sticking it back in there. Yeah. Fill in with whichever appropriate jokes you have for that. Alright, let's see if we're close. Is this the same? No, it doesn't matter. Alright, so we're still big, just a little big. Remember, we traced around the outside of the blanket we were using, so we are going to be a little oversized when we cut this out, especially as I was staying outside of the line, so as not to cut into this area that I needed to preserve. The other thing you want to be careful, you don't really want to bevel this. It might make it slip into the part a little easier, but you'll end up with a lousy glue line there. It won't be tight to the plastic all the way around. You'll have just a thin edge of your balsa part will be secure. And the whole idea of doing this is to enhance that glue line, make this a much stronger connection from one side to the other. Beveling the balsa wood to make it slip in there easier more or less defeats the purpose. I mean, if you dump a ton of glue in there to try and compensate for that, that's fine. But you really shouldn't have to do that either. You just want that to fit. So we're close. We just need to do a few microns off the nose, keeping the shape right, and just a little off the back, just for fun. And we're probably pretty much there. Let's see. And then the way we're gonna, obviously we're gonna use the super glue to put there it is, put the balsa into the plastic. And I'm gonna use a wood glue to mate the two halves together. And that is so that I'll have time to line up the two sides. Now, this doesn't eliminate sanding. You still have to clean up and sand the joint. But, you know, that's the fun part, and you wouldn't want anything to take that away from you. So close enough is good enough. There we go. That's in there. So now you see, once we get this glued in here, and then we'll sand to make them flat, and then we'll mate them. And you see that's a much better glue line. Now you've got all that extra material, all that balsa wood sticking to itself in there. And then this we just clean up over the top, use a little bit of the filler, and we have a good solid connection on our wheel pants, right? This needs to be cut out, hogged out for the wheel. So let's do that. Now, if you're wondering about the axle, that is a process too, and I can show you that in just a second. All right, we need to straighten this out right there. So in the axle, again, these are going to be joined together. And then what we'll do, and I'm going to line the inside here. I'm going to put just a little piece of probably 1/64 or 1/32, sorry, 1/32 balsa here, just a little circle here and a circle here, where the holes for the axles will be drilled. Okay, so imagine that. We got the little balsa inside on each side. We'll line up our wheel right about the depth we want, which is right about here. You can see there's almost an indentation here where they wanted you to poke the axle through. And we could just use that line, or that demarcation point, and drill right there. And we drill straight through. So that means that as soon as you're entering one half of the cavity with your drill bit, then you want to line it up. You want to make sure the drill's not going in this way or this way. You just try to eyeball that straight through and punch it through the other side. And when that's done, you just take a small length of piano wire. You remember you've got balsa liner on the inside of each half. You run that through, measure it, make sure that it doesn't protrude on either side. It just goes through the thickness of that balsa on each side. And then you run it through there, and with the wheel in place, and you've got your axle. It's a little tricky doing that, I'll give you that, but you can do it. And what you can do is, once you know where to cut this, you would pinch it almost all the way through, almost cutting it completely through, but leaving it attached. Run it in through there using your handle, and when you get to the proper place, you hold the wheel and just snap it off. Okay? It works. And you can take a file to the end of it if you're careful and not damage the plastic at all, and just file that end flush. Alright, so we want to get this lined up and get it as close to the surface, the edge here, as we can get it, and then run a bead of glue just around that outside. The capillary action will take it right in. The adhesive will go right into that seam and fill that in for you. The spot where my thumb was. You gotta be careful again, you don't want to slip and have it come out now. And then, something like that. Just get it all situated with the super glue adhesive. And you should have a good bond in just a few seconds. You just go around and press it just a little bit. Right? Get the other half situated. Let's try it for the back first. You got better luck doing that. Using a lot of, this is going to be a long video, but hopefully it's informative and it'll help people having trouble with this portion of a build. So there, you get that nice and flush, and we're fine. A little bit in here. There. Okay, you see how that goes on. Don't want to pinch it too hard because that forces it out. And we're there. So the same situation, go around the edge. Let that glue really kind of run in there. And if it's a little, if the wood is protruding just a little bit, or if it's just recessed a little bit, remember we're going to be sanding this to get that nice flush line there. The reason you want it to line up in the first place is so that when you are sanding it flush, you're not sanding to an angle. In other words, you're not carving the wheel pan up. You want it to start flush so it'll end flush and flat. Did that go on? Yeah. That was fine. Okay. Okay, so anyway, that's our that's the method I use for these. And again, we're gonna put a liner in there. Well, I think I've used all of my 1/32 balsa. Come out of that now. I'll go through my spare box here. Let's see what we got. Doesn't take much. I just need a scrap. Oh, it's alright. We'll use 16th. It'll be alright. We won't use a big enough piece to deflect the plastic at all, so what I want to do here is just mark out a circle. Try and keep myself honest. Let's see. What do we have nothing on this side. There it is. A little indentation right here. Probably meant to be the inner half. So I'm just going to lay it right over that spot. And I'm going to do it with a big enough piece of balsa that I have a little room for adjustability. And I think we'll use this size. Probably could have gotten 2 out of that, but yeah. Could have definitely gotten 2 out of it. So this is how I cut circles in balsa. If you try to drag around the line, you can split the balsa. You can easily go off track and into the circle. Generally what happens is the wood will split on you. So this is a better way to do it, keeping your blade flat and not splitting that.